Hello, Flight Sim fans, and welcome to the Practically Geek channel. In today's video, I've travelled to the Canary Islands, around 80 miles from the coast of Africa, to explore Cesar Manrique Lanzarote Airport, aka Arrecife Airport. This PAYWARE add-on is a collaboration between flight sim developer Marijn van Cranenburgh and Just Flight. As always, I've linked the product page for this airport in the description down below. If you do enjoy this video, please give it a massive like and please consider subscribing to the Practical Geek channel for more flight simulator and aviation content just like this.
United Tango Victor, Roger, runway 09, clear for takeoff, surface wind 150 degrees, 4 knots.
Runway 09, clear for takeoff, easy 93 Tango Victor.
Southwest of the capital, Arrecife, is Lanzarote Airport. Handling millions of passengers a year, the airport regularly welcomes airlines such as EasyJet, Ryanair, Jet2 and the Canary Islands based Binter with their fleet of ATR 72s and Embraer 195s. I wanted to feature this add-on on my channel for a few reasons. Firstly, it looks great but doesn't seem to be featured a lot on YouTube, and it was the airport I landed at on my first ever flight and overseas holiday. Remember Monarch Airlines? Of course you do. I flew on one of their A320s to Lanzarote with my granddad when I was 15. It was amazing to finally experience air travel on board an airliner. And although Monarch had decided to fly us out there on a plain white Airbus with no Monarch livery, it was still one of the best memories I have to this day. As I do with all my scenery videos, I'm going to show you around the airport before the add-on is installed. Then I will return to Lanzarote to explore the Just Flight add-on, giving you an in-depth look at the details and features included within this PAYWARE. From above we can see the default scenery has had a good go at giving us a familiar rendition of Lanzarote Airport. The aerial imagery for this area isn't great, I'm afraid, and we are missing some buildings north of the airport and the hangars at the military apron south of Terminal 1. The ground textures once again look like someone has spilt wine all over a carpet. The massive stains can be seen all over the aprons and taxiways, and even in the darker tarmac. I don't really know if this is the Sim's way of making the textures look weathered, or if it's the aerial imagery mixing in with the ground textures, but I imagine it's the latter. One of the oddities with the default scenery is this red ground marking. It looks like a child has gone crazy with a felt tip pen. After checking the maps, I can see the apron does in fact have this marking, and the sim does get it right somewhat, but it's a shame it doesn't match the contrast of the surrounding yellow markings. The default landside area of Lanzarote Airport is a mess. The aerial imagery again isn't the best, but we can clearly see the car parks and rental zones with their own canopies covering the parking spaces. That's all well and good, but the AutoGen has tried to fill in those canopies with apartment type buildings and hasn't even finished. I think this area should have remained flat, showing the satellite imagery just like it has with the nearby bus station in the top left of shot. After looking at Google Maps, I noticed it doesn't actually show the military area that Lanzarote shares its runway with. I wasn't sure how I'd research this area, but looking at Bing Maps, it seems they have a pretty clear view of this zone. Yet the aerial imagery in the sim is poor once again, and the AutoGen hasn't done well either. It's a shame we don't get any of the white stucco walls we see around the airport in real life. In fact, the depiction of the buildings all over the island are pretty bad. I hope we get a better style of AutoGen in the future that complements Lanzarote and the rest of the Canary Islands. But let's be honest, I think Microsoft Flight Simulator thus far has given us the best default airports of any sim, but I do appreciate seeing virtual recreations of airports from around the world. The level of realism increases so much when you can see the real buildings, signs and ground textures around you as you taxi out to the runway. With all that being said, let's head into the PAYWARE add-on to see how much Marijn and Just Flight have improved this airport. Welcome back to Lanzarote Airport here in the Canary Islands. Before I check in for my flight back home, let's take a look at Marine's and Just Flight scenery and explore the changes that have been made in this PAYWARE add-on. Once again, starting from above to get a better overview of the aerodrome, we can see there's been a massive upgrade to the airport. Landside looks 1,000 times better with custom models and high quality renditions of the terminals 1 and 2 here at Lanzarote. The aprons, taxiways and runway textures have all been upgraded and now resemble the real ones. It's great to see the horrible ground markings have been improved. The level of authenticity is amazing, and even from up here we can see the dirt and oil marks scattered across the aprons. The missing buildings located north of the terminals have been added. And the military area now looks amazing with custom buildings representing the ones found here according to the Bing satellite imagery I'm currently looking at. Let's move closer to get a better look at the detail included in this scenery. I'll start from the south and head north towards the terminals, then have a look at the night lighting before ending with my split screen before and after presentation. At the end of runway 03 is the approach lights which head off into the sea. The large structure holding the lights above the water have been modelled and really makes flying the approach to runway 03 that more realistic. There's a perimeter fence which surrounds the whole of the airport. The blast shields protecting the roads and beachgoers from the jet engines of the planes have also been modelled and look really good. Further along the taxiway heading towards Terminal 1 is this small building and custom windsock. I mentioned in a previous video how details like this can add more immersion to a scenery, especially when you taxi past them out to the runway. I'm assuming, and correct me if I'm wrong, that these signs are for ground vehicles identifying that there are aircraft passing each end of this small track. This is another fab little detail that adds more immersion to this add-on. I could only find a few reference photos for the military zone based here at Lanzarote Airport, but as you can see, we do get replica hangars with the authentic emblem on top. The apron textures also mimic the ones here with that square pattern as you can see in the photo. It's cool to see the gatekeeper at the military zone has been modelled. The Mirage F1 model is a great detail to include, and credit goes to Peter R over on the airshow forums for this photo of the real aircraft present at Lanzarote. As we get closer to Terminal 1 and the main apron, there is a great level of ground clutter just behind another blast shield. The custom fuel wagons with the Cepsa logo stand out and add a lovely level of detail to the scenery. This whole area in fact is a giant product placement for Cepsa. The massive logo on this building looks amazing, and I like how it's faded, giving a great level of weathering to the roof. And doesn't the texture work along this wall look stunning? The control tower has been custom modelled, of course. There is a simple interior included, but the real star of the show once again is the fantastic texture work. There is so many layers of dirt and weathering, resulting in a convincing rendition of this tower, which I think looks amazing. The excellent texturing doesn't stop there. The terminal has more stunning rendering like this white stucco and highly detailed stone wall. Terminal 1's landside entrance is good, the signage on top of it closely resembling the one here at the airport. We also get animated people, although I am not particularly fussed with the ones walking up and down, as they are basically in a loop moving back and forth non-stop, which in my opinion doesn't look the best, but it still adds a good level of immersion to the scenery. What does look good, however, is the car park and rental area. All those badly placed autogen buildings are gone and have been replaced by custom canopies seen at the airport. The nearby bus station has been upgraded with shelters and coaches. I hate to sound critical here, but I would have liked to have seen some ground textures in this area, as we do get a good model for the Cepsa petrol station just next door. Inside Terminal 1 we get a fairly basic interior with check-in desks. With that said, I do appreciate the animated people included, as I initially thought my frame rates would suffer, but they have been solid, which is a bonus. The interior modelling is okay. In departures, it does look more immersive with shop fronts, information boards, seats, and a lot of animated people. The models are actually pretty detailed and make the airport feel a lot more alive. I can't seem to find any information on this art piece anywhere online, but it does look like Cesar Manrique's work. Let me know if this appears at the airport, as I couldn't find any pictures to confirm it. Out on the apron, the external modelling and texturing is excellent once again. The custom jetways look great and connect to the aircraft well, albeit with a slight glitch through the airframe. The add-on also comes with a feature called VDGS, or Visual Docking Guidance System. This installs automatically to your community folder, and when you taxi to a gate at Terminal 1, it will guide you into place via the screen located in front of the stand. Unfortunately, after about an hour of messing around with various files and uninstalling and reinstalling the add-on, I was unable to get this feature working. It's a shame, but with that being said, I've read that the VDGS system is included in other PAYWARE sceneries, and it also doesn't work with them, so I think this may be an issue with the sim itself. Along the road under the jetways, we can see more subtle details like traffic cones and the conveyor belt truck. I like how one of the cones has been knocked over, and just how detailed the bridge is with the AC vents with yellow tubing. I think that's a really lovely touch. As well as animated people, we get these really detailed palm trees. The animations in the branches are significantly better than the ones found on the flags. Unfortunately, they don't react to wind speed, but that is me being ever so picky. Terminal 2 is much smaller than Terminal 1, but it has still been modelled and textured to the same standard. The roof looks stunning with all its dirt and weathering, and the texture work is again fantastic. I much prefer the landside area of this building compared to Terminal 1. It just feels more realistic. I think it's the use of custom foliage and the street lamps. It just makes it feel a bit more genuine in my opinion. There is some interior modelling inside Terminal 2. It's not as detailed as Terminal 1 departures, for example, but I believe this is only supposed to be viewed from the outside, as the windows here aren't transparent, but are from the other side. Speaking of the outside, just look how detailed it is. The steps leading down to the apron are nicely modelled, along with these window awnings which provide more depth to the building. The custom railing and signs directing people to various points in the terminal look great, and although I said I didn't like those walking animated people because they looped, I absolutely love the use of them here. They actually look like they are heading towards that Binter ATR. The queue of people at the aircraft is another great detail. This lady has completely lost it and decided to argue with the ground crew. Further along the apron, we have even more ground clutter and vehicles. Everything just looks so authentic, and seeing the retextured apron with better ground markings closer up is fantastic. The oil and dirt on each stand really looks amazing. So I was wondering while passing them, do those apron spotlights look good at night? Roll back your watches and clocks and let's see what the night lighting looks like at Lanzarote Airport. Yes, they do. In fact, just from this view, I'm seeing things I didn't even see in the daytime, like the reflections in the oil on the ground and the red lights scattered around the top of the terminal. Let's head up and see the airport from above, and then we'll have a close look at some of the lighting details around the airport. I have to say, this is one of the nicest implementations of night lighting I've seen in an add-on. Where to start really, you'll probably notice a lot of red lights flashing around the airport, most notably on the control tower, windsocks and the edges of the blast shields. The landside area again looks okay. I think the developer has put a lot of effort into the airside portion of this add-on, and that's not a problem. In fact, I know a lot of viewers have said they would rather see more focus on the areas we only see while at the controls. The signs on both terminals look great. I like how the coaches are lit up, but again, I'm drawn over to Terminal 2, which also looks great at night. The control tower has some faked interior lighting, which looks pretty good. The actual ATC area at the top of the building is pitch black except for some monitors. I'm not too sure how it looks at night, as I'm unable to find any pictures of it during that time. Terminal 1's interior lighting looks great. You can clearly see the people inside moving around, and overall I think it looks quite realistic, although the Lanzarote sign does steal the show here. Airside at Terminal 2 at night also looks great. The Cesar Manrique sign is stunning, and I love how those apron lights are illuminating the ground below, revealing oil slick and damp patches. The nearby military zone looks good at night. The apron lights do a good job of illuminating the area around them. What really looks amazing is the taxiway and runway edge lighting. The whole airport in fact looks stunning at night, and I think Marijn has done a fantastic job here. And although we don't get any reflections in the water for some reason, don't those approach lights look amazing? We have seen this airport in default and we've explored it with the Just Flight scenery installed, but here is a better look at those changes in my split screen before and after presentation. Feel free to pause the video at any time to take a closer look, and I hope you enjoy this one. Lanzarote Airport is available from the Just Flight website, priced at £13.49. I've put a link in the description that will take you straight to the product page for this scenery, and if you do decide to buy this add-on or you already have, let me know in the comments what you think. It's worth noting that if you have the Lanzarote Scenery package by Island Creations installed, Just Flight have done their very best to make their airport compatible with that add-on. The aerial imagery and scenery files are fine, but you will need to uninstall the mesh folder by moving it or deleting it from your community folder. It was great to be back at Lanzarote for the day, even if it was virtual. Marijn has created a really great rendition of this airport, and it's an easy recommendation from me, especially if you team it up with the Island Creations Lanzarote Scenery add-on. If you have enjoyed this video, please give it a massive like, and please consider subscribing to the Practically Geek channel for more flight simulator and aviation content just like this. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you again very soon.